Hello, welcome to my channel, Conscious Growing. I'm Matthias. So this video today will be about how to parent yourself, how to parent myself while having chronic conditions. And I think one of the main things is, like when you have a little look in the history of such conditions, is there is this day X and you're hit by some chronic symptoms, maybe after a virus infection. That was in my case. And you don't know what to do. And you try to figure out. You visit doctors, health practitioners in all kinds of ways, and you try to figure out. And then in most of the cases, these practitioners can't help you. They start a treatment and maybe it got a little bit better, but it wasn't the breakthrough. You still have the conditions, you still have pains, for example. You still have hyper alert, sensitive nervous system, and everything seems like as if your life was broken to pieces. And now you try to put the puzzles together, and then you might continue to figure out other methods and other consulting other doctors and so on. And if this doesn't help, you might come to the conclusion that there might be other reasons for it, and you start to dig deeper and you slowly get the idea that maybe it's not this virus that caused something bad in you. Maybe it was the the state in which you have been before. And you take a look at your life and you take a look at your patterns, and maybe you slowly come to the point where you see that, yeah, you have to take a closer look, but also on the other hand, that maybe your whole life isn't crushed, and you don't have to put the pieces together, not in the way it feels in the moment. But nevertheless, you are there, you tried some treatments, most of the cases, you didn't succeed. Maybe some of the practitioners even gave you frightening results. And one of the most common things you hear is you have to learn to live with it. In other words, we don't know how to help you, how to cure you. Go home and accept it. And this definitely makes more fear, and this definitely can cause lots of despair and fear and trouble. So it's really good and helpful to, from my perspective, to find a good community where you have exchange with others and with a good guideline. In other words, so how to do things to lift up each other and bring yourself to clarity and bring each other to have hope and not to get stuck in the scared brain, which is the main cause after all. But And this is the thing I want to talk about today, is when you are in the, I don't want to call it final stage because I don't know yet, but it feels like, um, okay, let's say final stage for now, and this still can mean that this can take a few weeks or months longer. But what I want to say is that there are strong emotions at times. And the way I see it, it's always emotions from the past. It's always the fears you had as a child. These fears are coming up in your, most of the times in the last stage. Sometimes it happens that this whole bunch of symptoms that they vanish and there's only a few left, or this one big symptom is left, and this seems to be the biggest obstacle, and fear and anxiety as well. And what I observed is that it's really hard, especially when you are a great achiever, and most of people who end up in these conditions are great achievers. When you are an achiever, when you are a people pleaser, when these personality traits are yours, then it's also important to have a look at it. We don't have to change our personality. I also think it isn't possible, and there's no need to do. But maybe if you were just straight ahead and straightforward all your life, it is good to stop and to come back to yourself and to be aware of yourself, and also be aware of these patterns which are holding you away from feeling yourself, from being in contact with yourself. Yeah, there are these so-called doers, and these people are engaged in something with the brain all the time trying to figure out something. What's next? What's next? Where's the next solution? Where's the next thing to do? And this is not wrong, but if this is a habit and you're not able to stop yourself at times, and to stop and breathe and feel yourself, then it becomes a problem sometimes. And when symptoms are there, it is definitely a sign to have a look. And combined, especially to this achiever type of person, it is quite likely that you are hard on yourself. I observed that in the beginning for myself. I was like, at the moment I realized, oh, this will take a little bit longer. It's not done in 2 weeks. It will take some time. I slowly started to realize that I'm not good in soothing myself. I was good to do it for others all my life. But now, the first time in my biggest crisis of life, I wasn't able to be nice to myself. And I was kind of shocked to realize that I was lying there in pain, with no energy, lying on my bed, and there was no self-compassion for myself in the beginning. So I realized I have to learn this, because if I don't learn it, I will not make this final step. Why? Because then this attitude of achieving, getting rid of the symptoms, is always counterproductive, and I always kind of fight myself, and I realized that in many moments on this path again and again. And it could be like these days I felt a little bit better, and then I just continued doing things, and I stopped feeling myself and not having moments of, hey, is it good to go on here? So in other words, there were no boundaries in myself, and I just continued. And then the next day I was totally exhausted again. And I think this whole recovery is a really smart game. And you have to know yourself, and you have to learn to dance with your symptoms, to dance with your energies, your capacities. You have to learn this. But also you have to learn to treat yourself well. And um, in this last couple of days, I had moments where I was more fearful than ever. And I felt the necessity to take time with myself and listen to my inner child and what it has to say. Because if there is fear, then the question is, who has the fear? Who is fearful? Is it the adult in us? Is it the higher self in us? Or is it this scared child? And what I feel is that this child wants to be seen. And if you compare it to your own life, if you have children or other moments you had in your life, when you are seen, you can relax. When your child is seen by you, it can relax. But if it's not seen, it will never relax fully. So therefore you have to go in contact in some kind of way. Consider the situation, you don't care at all, and you're just going straight through it and think, I'm going to solve this, I'm going to get rid of my symptoms. This is absurd, right? It can't work like this. You are hard on yourself. When you're hard on yourself, you're continuing the old habitual habits. So therefore, I highly recommend to find time and space to sit with your inner child, especially when you're really excited, especially when you're fearful, especially when symptoms go up. Instead of trying to fix it, instead of trying to figure out what's wrong, take the opportunity and sit with your child and close your eyes and listen what it has to say. And maybe you don't get an immediate answer, but with time, it happens to me that this child is showing up more often and more clear. So I had it today, for example, when I felt that it was kind of knocking. It was so restless and fearful. And I allowed myself to just sit with it and just to listen. And I got some answers. It was just a simple answer that this child doesn't want to be alone. And then I came back to a moment I experienced as a little boy when I was around 5. This moment. And that was a very scary moment I had with my father at that time. And it scared me so much. And in this moment I was so much between the chairs because I felt so much love for him. But on the other hand, I was so scared, and I didn't know if I can still trust him. I don't need to tell the whole story, but you just get an idea. There was this 5-year-old boy who was totally helpless emotionally. And so what I did when this moment came up, and it just came like out of nowhere, and I used the opportunity instead of being sorry for myself, instead of distracting myself, in, in instead of, I don't know, to leave out of the situation, I decided to stay and just to allow this emotion that was there. And I really felt that the emotion I had at that time is very much related to my inner states right now when symptoms are high. And again, you don't need to grab in the past. You don't need to find these moments. They will come on their own when the time is right. So there's no need to force anything. And if you don't have such a clear picture like I had, it doesn't matter. You can be sure that this is always a scared part in you, and that hasn't been seen for a while, for years, maybe decades even. So maybe we come to these points in our life for the first time that we have a look at these old wounds, and they are here in the present moment. And now we have the capacity to take responsibility, to allow them, to see them, also to see them that they are from the past and they are stuck in this system maybe. And maybe for a long time we were frozen, and we went through all our life frozen with a shield to protect us. And now these symptoms are knocking, and they ask for attention. They want our attention. And who else can meet these old emotions and other than you, other than us? So to end up my experience from today, yeah, I was able to see little Matthias when he was 5. I was able to see him, to nourish him, to be very gentle, to ask for his permission. Is it okay when I take your hand, your little hand, all here and here? So I met him, and somehow I was able to get in touch with him and to ask in between, is it still okay that we put the spot on this situation? So I did it as gentle as possible. And after a while the tears were all out, and something started to relax in me. This part started to relax. And then I could go on with my day and share this today with you, that this was possible. And Yesterday, when I was in the call of Dan Buglio's group, where I'm still in, it was so good and great again to be there. And what I experienced was that there was one of the ladies there, and she said that she's using a app, the Dare app, where you can find a panic attack SOS tool. And I thought it's wonderful to use it, and it's wonderful to have such a thing at the beginning as some kind of bridge to be able to be with uncomfortable sensation in some moments. And these moments usually come unexpected. And it's good to have such a toolkit, but it should only be a bridge. I think later on you have to become more independent. You can become more independent and just practice to be with yourself and nurture yourself, and always be clear that you are the adult and you have a heart and compassion for yourself. And there is this energy in you. This is just scared and it wants to be seen. And if you give the attention, if you give the love, if you have the patience also and the courage, then you don't need any apps anymore. But yeah, this is just my take on this. And yeah, practice self-love and self-care. This is something we maybe missed out most of our lives. For others, yes. For ourselves, not so much maybe. And I can confirm that I just learned it in this kind of depth because of these conditions. I would never come to the idea to come that close to myself. And I think this is a big chance to really transform our personalities, to stand there for ourselves, to build up this resilience, to experience uncomfortable sensations, uncomfortable emotions. And the calmer and the more gentle and the more strong, with a strong mindset you keep the space, the more security is there for this inner child. And it will relax with time. And you will have a great tool to be with yourself when needed. Because then you, with time, you recognize it earlier. And you recognize now it's good to inhibit and give some time and space. And the more often you do, the more security and safety you create in yourself, for this child. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I'm getting tired. It was a interesting meeting with this child, but it's also tiring, I can tell you. But it's good. It's good to stay awake and be with it, be present. So I hope this is helpful for some of you. Please subscribe for the channel if you want more content like this, and leave a message, leave a thumb up, and I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.